Her adventures in Wonderland and the lessons she learned, this time on waking up or awakening the dream. There's a quote attributed to her on this topic that states, "Those who are awake live in a state of constant amazement." And I would say that when we first wake up to some idea, especially an idea about ourselves, we might be amazed. First, that this idea has suddenly appeared, and second, that it was inside of us all along. It can feel like that moment when you startled from a nap. You suddenly awaken from a dream, and you're wide awake in that moment. Heightened sensitivities, and we catch our bearings. Anybody ever been there? We awaken from the dream we were just having, or maybe it was a nightmare. We listen for sounds around us. Perhaps our heart is beating really fast. There's perspiration drops on the pillow. We're in this state of amazement because the dream seems so real. It touched something in us. We can't let it go, and we might not be able to get back to sleep. We might have a hard time adjusting to this new state of consciousness, this awakened awareness. Let's see what we can do about that. During this entire month, you've been encouraged and invited to dig deeper, to do some self-exploration, and to see the value of who you are, to tap into your divine nature, your God presence within, and to remove the blocks that are holding you back. You've been doing that, right? Yes. Such exploration produces valuable insights every time it's conducted. You don't just do it once and that's it. You keep doing it over and over again. Maybe just a little more awareness of your connection with spirit might show up. Removing a fear that's holding you back. Feeling more confident in your attempts to create a new way of being. Seeing a brighter light of understanding coming from your heart as you take on new challenges and succeed in your endeavors. And all of this because you know you have the power of God, of the creative universe, available to you in every moment. What are you doing with that power? Are you using it? Every bit towards what you can imagine? Or are you just dabbling with creation? Or even holding back from creating because of the darkness of fear that you feel? You're afraid of your own light. I received an email this week from a religious science minister, Dr. Eleanor Richard. She wrote, "Light is very special. The same light that originated as the power that was first thought, sometimes we call it first cause in the universe, is the same force that you are. Reach your hand into the beam of light and feel the loving intelligence that is placed upon you. No wonder all creatures turn toward the light. It is home for all of us. When light is present, consciousness expands, yet as it is recorded, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not." Why is that? She goes on, "In my experience, sometimes when anger and judgment appear, darkness, the light is not comprehended or even noticed. This light we speak of is that of truth, not perception. It is what is happening in the present moment, which is where truth lives. In the midst of darkness, when things don't go as you think they should, perception is skewed, and you are lost in the human thinking mind. Dr. Eleanor states that darkness takes many forms. For example, can you remember the last time someone gossiped about you and you decided not to speak to her or him again? Or when you heard your name praised in a public place, but without your permission? Or how about when you thought you heard judgment or prejudice or anything outside your belief limits and you walked away thinking, that's not for me? This insight, what I'm suggesting to you right now, is to encourage you to once again face the light and transform your perception to the present moment. The now moment, the only place where peace, harmony, and acceptance can live. Let go of your shaky or false beliefs and your judgments. Be present in the light of truth. You can choose not to walk away, but rather to bring issues into the light and release these false beliefs before they gradually sicken you. Turn toward the light of understanding and wisdom. That was quite an email. So when Alice was running around in Wonderland, especially as we see in the Disney film, how many of you kids remember or have watched Alice? Yes, okay. How many have watched it more than once? How many have watched it more than twice? 3 times? Okay, more than a dozen. How often was she in the darkness? Pretty much all the time, right? There were snippets of sunbeams here and there, but a lot of what she experienced and where she traveled were in shadow or darkness. If you'll recall, the light shone when she was having a new awareness, when she would wake up to something different or new about herself being revealed through her experience. For example, light shone on her when she sat down to listen to Tweedledee and Tweedledum tell their stories about the curious oysters getting all gobbled up by the walrus and the carpenter. And as she reflected on the story, towards the end of it, suddenly there was a light beam that showed her the path so she could leave, and she snuck away from the 2 silly twins. After her conversation with the caterpillar, who wanted to know, remember the question? Who are you? She started experimenting with the effects of the mushroom that made her bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. At one point, she grew so tall that her head popped up above the treetops. She could see for miles around the countryside. She could have walked away quite easily at that moment and found her way back home, couldn't she? But what did she do instead? She had doubts and questions for herself. She said, I wonder if I'll ever get the knack of this. And then she shrunk herself back down to her former self, a smaller size of who she was. And then she's at the Mad Hatter. She's at the party, and the rabbit asks if she wants more tea. And she starts to argue with him. She declares that she hasn't had any tea yet, so how can she get more? To which he replies, you mean you can't very well take less. You can always take more than nothing. You can always take more than nothing. We've all done this at some point, pushed away our good. We're unwilling or unable to accept a compliment from someone. Thought we didn't deserve a special gift or experience that came our way. Don't do that. Welcome the good that comes your way. Say thank you every time, all the time, and watch the good that continues to find you as a result of that consciousness, of that gratitude. You can always take more than nothing. Other insights and comments Alice made as she digs deeper into her thoughts include, when one is lost, I suppose it's good advice to stay where you are until someone finds you. But who'd ever think to look for me here? She's feeling lost, isn't she? And at a certain level, she knows the only person who can find her is herself. It's an inside job. To look at your characteristics, your habits, your beliefs, and examine what is working for you. What keeps you on the right path? And what takes you off track? Look at those two. Another insight from Alice. If I had listened earlier, I wouldn't be here. I give myself very good advice, but rarely listen or follow it. That's good. That good advice is her intuitive self, her divine intelligence. And she's honest enough to admit that the human thinking part of her ego self, chooses not to listen. We do that. I do that. I can be in the midst of a discussion with someone, and my God self will notice that my ego self, over here, is about to go off the deep end of the conversation and say something that I know I'm going to regret. And it's in that split second of awareness that I get to choose how I will respond to the person standing in front of me. Most times I can stop my mouth from saying anything else. I love it when I consciously recognize the dark path before me and I choose not to go there. However, there are those rare times when I actually physically put my hand over my mouth to keep my lips together. The words are just screaming to come out. I can feel the pressure burning up behind me. But I know if I say anything, I'll get myself in trouble. I know I must hold back until I can change those words into something kinder, gentler, more loving, something I would want to hear. Because as you know, once those words escape your lips, kind or unkind, there's no do-over. They're out there having the effect as they were directed. Have you ever had that experience? The cleanup can take a long time. Sometimes the damage done by hurtful words may never heal because we have such fantastic memories. So when that still small voice tells you to shut up, do it. Listen to your own very good advice. Alice also said, I'd love the change. Should something strange begin? This speaks to her conscious desire to evolve, to grow and change into something strange, something different, something new. How many of you can relate to this desire on occasion? You just want something different to show up. Next she says, I should have known there'd be a price to pay someday. We call this the law of cause and effect. You may also know it as karma or natural consequences. Yet little Alice is aware enough to know that whatever she does has an effect in her life. We all know this too, deep down. The thing to do is to think about what those effects might be ahead of time, before you choose a certain path. Make your decision with as much knowledge as you have at the time, for your highest and best good. The best outcome you want to experience with the awareness and the intelligence and the information you have in that moment. And do it. Make the decision for that or something better. After all her wandering around in the darkness, after all her challenges and conflicts with the Queen of Hearts and the Caterpillar and the Cheshire Cat, Alice runs from the Kingdom of Hearts. She follows the path back to the beginning and starts shouting, wake up, Alice! And finds herself back under the tree on a sunny afternoon. She wakes up her inner being, her inner knowing. She calls on her I am nature as she runs from her fears of Wonderland. This is an awakening on two levels. Perhaps you can relate to them as well. First, we can wake up to our divine light that shines ever so brightly from our soul. In a world of duality, such as this physical world we live in, darkness and shadow are often said to be the other side of light. What I've learned is that when you pay attention to your light, your God nature, it tends to shine so brightly that the shadow parts of us shrink and are left behind in the darkness of our former selves. And yes, those dark parts, they can show up from time to time. We call them triggers or buttons. Family members, children, spouses, they seem to know where they're all hidden. And they're really good pushing them. However, you alone are responsible for your reaction or response. You decide whether you want to go down that dark path or listen to the good advice of your God self. So number one, wake up to the divine light within you. And second, we can wake up to what is calling us to live a more expanded life of who we are. What life, dream, or purpose do you have within you? Maybe one that you keep pushing down. Oh, because the timing isn't right, or you don't have enough money, or your pressures are too demanding, or you're just plain scared of failing. Hooey. It's a spiritual term. Hooey on all of those excuses. Here's a question I've started asking myself whenever any of those negative thoughts start blocking a spirit idea. What do I have, or what can I do right now that would allow me to take one step in the direction of my dream? What do I have, or what can I do right now that would allow me to take a step in the direction of my dream? The answer could be any of a number of things. Maybe it's just get a piece of paper and a pencil and write down a drawing, or make a list of plans and ideas and steps you could do, or what your resources are in that moment. Maybe it's go to the library and borrow a book so that you can become more informed about the project that you want to work on. Maybe it's talk to a friend at lunch, do some brainstorming. Maybe it's forgive a resentment. Say a prayer. Take one step. If you have a dream, a vision, that won't leave you alone, that is pushing you to the point of being so uncomfortable that you can't ignore it any longer, because as we say, the pain pushes until the vision pulls. If you're at that point, you can always do something. No more excuses. This really hit home for me in the last few months. I got to take a look at my own beliefs about money and jobs and prosperity and priorities again. And I was sharing recently with someone about all the different prosperity classes that we offer at PCCRS and some of the others I've taken, in other venues. And the person in front of me was shaking their head and then said to me, I don't take a lot of those classes. Rather than just talking about money all the time, go out and make it. Get it. Oh, there's a great idea. Tell that to your naggy and see what happens. I agree with this person for the most part. If all we're doing is waiting for our dreams to drop in our lap, we're just thinking and talking and studying and preparing. We're waiting for our greater expressions to show up on our front doorstep. It's likely not going to happen in the physical realm in the very near future. It could. But when you take all that education and planning and preparation and actively participate as co-creator with God, as your partner, then all that stuff in those dreams really do start to show up. You are a child of God. For goodness sake, start acting like it. No more wimpy whining about how unfair life is. My boss doesn't like me. The economy is bad. Or whatever. We make it up anyway. So make up something positive and reinforcing and inspiring. And live the life so that it's a reflection of who you are. That is your life right now. It's a reflection of your past thoughts and behaviors and activities. If you want something different in the future, then you need to change something right now, whatever that is for you. If you love your life, and I love mine, then you simply want to create more good, maybe at the next level, whatever that is for you. The law works the same no matter what. You can either either hold yourself back or lift yourself up. And by all means, get the spiritual and emotional support to get you going, if that's what it takes to kickstart you into the next movement, the next behavior, the next change, the next choice. Face your fears, the darkness, and bring out the light of truth about who you are. A divine spiritual being having a human experience. That light of truth will blast away any fear if you're willing to look deeply within yourself and heal or remove whatever is blocking you. You've put those blocks there. So guess what? You can take them away. And isn't that a great thing? It's simple, not easy, but it can be done. Wake up to what is calling you to live a more expanded life of who and what you are. And here are your final tips for the day to remind yourself how to do this. How to wake up to the magnificence of you and all the dreams you have to discover. I've started calling them the 3 spiritual C's, as in the letter C. So here they are. Number 1, creativity. This is a gift we have all been given. Creativity of some kind exists in everyone. Please stop telling yourself and those around you that you are not creative or you don't have artistic talent or any such things as that. Creativity is a quality of God, and as we are individualized expressions of God, we are all gifted with creativity. No exceptions. It's a gift. Accept it. The second C, consistent. This refers to the laws, the principles of the universe, forever consistent and unwavering. The laws of creation work the same for everyone, all the time. You can't change them, coerce them, bribe them, or get them to work the way you want just because you're you. You have nothing to do with their power other than to direct the power to create your dreams. So use the laws. They're there for you, and they're consistent. And last, number 3, committed. Being committed to our dreams, to your purpose, to yourself. You have the amazing gift of creativity to think about whatever you choose to think. With whatever you have before you, with whatever resources or skills or talents you've discovered so far. Unlimited possibilities are all around you. The power of the universe is available to you. What are you doing with it? Some of us do great things in very little bit of time. Some of us do small things with great love. It's all necessary. It's all valuable. In the Bible, Romans 13:11, part of the passage states, "Now it is high time to awake out of sleep." To which Ernest Holmes gave this interpretation: the belief in a life apart from good is a dream from which we must awake if we are to taste the waters of reality, big R, big reality. This awakening is a process of evolution, a little here and a little there, until the whole eye is opened and we see that life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Life is God. And good is the only power there is or can be. When I came to this awareness of the 3 C's the other day, when I woke up to the fact that I am the only weak link in this equation, it was truly humbling. So was skipping over that sentence too. You and I may have millions and trillions of ideas and dreams and a highly spiritual purpose in life. But if we are not committed to doing something about it or following it through to completion, if we just give up and let ourselves be sidetracked onto something else, well then where does the responsibility lie? It's not with creativity, and it's not with consistency of the laws. It's with us. our decision, our consequence. Again from Holmes, evolution is the awakening of the soul to a recognition of its unity with the whole. Evolution is an awakening of the soul to the recognition of its unity with the whole. God and I are one. Say that with me. God and I are one. One more time, really loud.